The broadcast is now starting. All attendees are in listen-only mode.
Good afternoon, ladies and gentlemen. Welcome to TechGig webinar series, our endeavor to empower techies. We believe that sharing of knowledge is the key to enhance our skills and grow us as professionals. With this principle in mind, we have initiated a series of webinars conducted by industry experts to give you all a crisp insight of various domains. The topic of today's session is IBM BlueMix, the new cool way to build apps in minutes. And our guest speaker today is Subramaniam Thuraga. He is the Solutions Manager with Worldwide Global System Integrator Alliance at IBM Software Group. Subramaniam Thuraga comes with a Bachelor Engineering degree in Computer Science, and he is an IIM Calcutta alumnus. He holds an MBA in International Business. He is an IBM Certified Cloud Computing Solution Advisor, PMP and Certified Scrum Master. His IT industry experience spans services, products, R&D, alliances, consulting, and sales. In his present role as Worldwide Software Solutions Manager and Alliance Technical Relationship Manager, his passion is to promote innovative solutions to global enterprises on IBM's cutting-edge technology. So, without further delay, we introduce you all to our guest speaker. Over to you, Subramaniam.
Thank you, Aradhana. I thank TechGig team for giving me this opportunity, and here we go without much delay. Welcome, ladies and gentlemen. So in the next 45 minutes, I will try to present to you IBM's new cloud-based offering called BlueMix. This might be totally new to many of you because this is built on some things in the industry which are new. So I will try to give some basics first, and then I will take you to the IBM's offering. Then I will show the full details of what this offering comprises of, who is this for, how to make use of that offering, and then I will try to show you a short demo of this and few use cases before we open up for question and answers. So you can keep posting your questions in the questions window there, and if it helps everybody to understand the current slide that I talk about, then I will take that question, or I will take the questions at the end if that will be covered in the due course. So I'm on slide number 1. I think you can see the slides progressing easily. IBM keeps doing one technology study with all our global clients called the CEO studies. We have been doing this for many years, and we do this year on year with the top clients repeatedly, so we know what is the change in the technology focus from the clients year on year. We use that insight for various purposes. We use that to design our products in line with what the market is expecting. We design new products to solve the new problems that clients bring about, and we make our long-term perspective of the IBM software group in line with the changing needs of the clients across various industries. So this is not specific to one geography or one industry. This drives all other initiatives from IBM side. So as we see that study mention about technology factors year on year, we see a tremendous focus going on to the technology than the other factors that clients used to be talking about, like productivity of the people or globalization or other factors. So consistently, the technology factors are occupying the topmost priority of the CEOs in the recent years, and it is expected to be in the top for a few more years. Technology factors comprise of all the IT initiatives that clients take, but predominantly it talks about cloud in the recent years. So when you split the technology factors into various pillars that you can identify in the hot trending topics, a majority of that directly maps to cloud initiatives. 136% clients are likely to use cloud for their direct productivity. And similarly, you will see it is used in the decision making and collaboration, and they are talking about moving a major chunk of their business operations into the cloud way. To understand why cloud is playing such a crucial part, I will touch upon few more jargons that we are very popularly hearing nowadays. The first one is systems of engagement as opposed to systems of record. Systems of record is the traditional way IT has been operating for decades. It means there will be an IT department who puts forth applications and systems for the rest of the workforce, including on-field workforce as well as various other departments. And people are expected to go to these applications and then make use of them. One example is there is a customer relationship management system which is running in the enterprise. And a sales rep goes on to field and he wants to access the latest information about the client. So if that organization has not gone for mobile initiatives or pervasive initiatives, his only option would be to go back to office and then look up in the system, or call somebody who can access the system and then get information from them. So the system is rigid, and people are adopting their work style to deal with the system. They are modifying their way of accessing the systems, or they are modifying their work life in accordance with how the systems dictate. The systems of engagement is a view of the other paradigm, completely opposite to this. So we visualize how people can work most productively, how they want to use the IT systems, or how they want to use the technology, how they want to use the applications or various tools that are there for their disposal. And we expect the systems, applications, tools, technology to cater to what they need rather than forcing its own set of rules on them. So again, in the same example, if a customer calls you for a meeting and you go to meet him in his premise, the technology should be ready at that point of discussion in whatever mediums that you can access. It could again then map to mobile initiatives or cloud-based initiatives or various other things, but the key point is this perspective change from the control and flexibility point of view. Instead of IT being rigid, it should be flexible, and it should adopt to the humans more than putting its own rules. So this calls for a lot of change in the way we look at IT now. It calls for reinventing the way we do things in the IT. This gives the maximum level of business agility that organizations has been thriving for a long time. Then the second concept we can see is composable business. It is estimated that 1/4 of the applications will move on to a cloud-based access in the near future, which means cloud will be very widely adopted and it will become an integral part of an organization's IT fabric. Instead of just having their own data centers and managing their apps themselves, they may be using various other models like public clouds or managed clouds, hosted clouds, or SaaS-based services wherever they are possible, or maybe a mix of all of these. The reason why people move for these things is to get the flexibility in terms of managing their IT, or to get the speed that they need in their IT environment. But when applications move from their own control point into the clouds, that also gives a problem for them. You need to make sure that the complete business process is not affected and it works better. So organizations are most likely to use this cloud and new generation technologies if they act as a system of engagement for them, not as a system of records, and then allow them to compose their business or rejig their business operations the way they do operations in whatever way they want. So we are demanding IT to be utmost flexible here and cater to business at the level of agility that business demands. This is the classic problem of the IT. Now we are looking that in a much more closer outlook and then trying to give a real solution for that than trying to find excuses or workarounds. So 3 key pillars of that viewpoint of composable business are: it should be service driven, not just IT services. Again, we are talking about business services. An organization should be able to list all the services that it offers or that it should identify as internal usage by the employees or partners, and then it should be able to visualize its business portfolio as being composed of these services. So any amount of change required by regulations, governance, competition, market changes, it should be able to rejig these services and then change the way it operates, though it doesn't change at the core of what it does, which is the services. And these services should be application aware, meaning the infrastructure itself should know how the usage will happen, and it should automatically tune itself for that. If there is a campaign and a lot of sales are expected to come, so the IT should automatically scale itself and then cater to the transaction load, even in unforeseen peak, than crashing and saying the systems are not tuned for that. So a lot of autonomous computing concepts also kick in as part of this composable business idea. And it should be resource smart. It should use all the known resource management things very effectively, like virtualization and scalability models and resource optimization. So all these things are integral part of that behind the scenes. Another buzzword that we need to understand is API economy. So as an extension to the concept of business functioning as a set of services which can be rejigged in whatever way we want, the core underlying foundation of that is a software-defined environment in its IT fabric. This enables a firm to change the way its IT is deployed dynamically without much manual interventions or physical changes. So this allows very quick changes to happen. On top of that, they will have a cloud operating environment where all the applications and systems become part of this cloud environment, where they fit closely together to give any amount of business agility required, be it the scalability or be it the change in the systems or the way systems automatically scale on demand. So on top of these software-defined environment and cloud operating environment, then a firm can reap the benefits of the API economy. The APIs that everybody is talking about are the services that we have seen in the earlier slide, but this will be opened up for its consumers than just the enterprise. So if it is a insurance firm, for example, the kind of APIs that it can open are for taking a quotation for an insurance, for a new insurance, or actually paying and buying an insurance policy, submitting a claim, or checking the status of a claim, or checking the status of the policy and making modifications to that. These are the core aspects of an insurance firm. These are the things that a firm does. People go to their office for getting these things done, or they go to the portal to carry out these same activities, or they contact their agents and their ecosystem network to get these things done. The core idea behind API economy is you should open up these core services in such a scale and ease of use mechanism that anybody can consume that with a simple governance framework in place, like taking care of the security and the authentications and who actually is authorized to use that. So taking care of those things, these APIs should be available worldwide for anybody who wants to use, so that people can build derivative work on top of the APIs. An example you can relate to the airline industry. Every airline used to work in brick and mortar offices selling the printed tickets several decades ago, and then they went online. They had their own websites and online ticket booking systems. People can go to their websites, check the flights available, and they can also buy the tickets. But they didn't stop there. They opened up their ticket availability checking services or the ticket booking services onto others like developers who want to build derivative works on top of that. So that gave rise to the portals like MakeMyTrip.com, Yatra.com, who can check the availability of tickets across multiple airlines at the same time. And no single airline can manage that portal. So that's some derivative work that only others can do. But we contribute to that through our APIs. The APIs map directly to the core line of business functions. And there will be additional revenue through that. There will be unforeseen levels of scalability in that, which a firm cannot scale on its own by leveraging this new set of channels and the ecosystem through developers, apps, and cloud platforms. This is not just for airlines or insurances. This type of API economy exists throughout the industries. We just didn't tap it so far. So by making use of composable services, composable functions as the business processes, and leveraging the cloud-based deployment models, organizations are now venturing into the API economy. IBM has a strong presence in this space, and we have been doing a lot of work for last 6-7 years at least. We are very strong in the cloud deployment models, both private and public clouds. We are very strong in cloud integration, and we are strong in mobile pervasive analytics and other associated pillars of that. So we have put together all of these, and we launched IBM Open Cloud Architecture, through which organizations can realize the composable business model and venture into the API economy. The building blocks mapping to what we have seen in the earlier slide, at an infrastructure as a service to help the software defined environment, we have a lot of tools, and we leverage open standards there like OpenStack. And to actually run the IT infrastructure in the cloud operating environment, we have again leveraged a lot of open standards based services and frameworks, plus we are part of the Cloud Foundry, which is the open framework for a platform as a service. And on top of that, we give IBM's own services for businesses, as well as from the business partners of IBM, and we also allow the clients to create their own services. This becomes part of a marketplace. So Cloud Foundry is the fundamental pillar behind the IBM's open cloud architecture. So we'll spend a minute on that. The Cloud Foundry is a PaaS platform. It's a framework for a PaaS platform, which is put together by many industry top leaders in the cloud computing space, like IBM, Pivotal, HP, SAP, and we have all come together and agreed upon certain standards where an interoperable cloud services based PaaS platform can be enabled, which can be used to create the API economy. So these services will go with a standard definition so that you can deploy them onto any cloud that you choose, and you can use any service to write these services, or you can even choose any deployment model. It need not be the public cloud. You can even deploy them in-house. So we will see more on that framework a little later. But we will just see what is that Cloud Foundry. It's a consortium initiative by all the top players in the cloud computing space, and IBM has done massive investments into that. We are one of the founding members of that. The agreement is we fund this project and get the standards evolve in the PaaS space or cloud computing space, and then we reap them back to make IBM offerings better. IBM is into this sort of arrangement for many open source projects. For example, we helped Eclipse as an open source project, and then we made Eclipse a very strong IDE to be used for multiple programming languages or the IDE of choice for the developers. And then we took the bare Eclipse and added IBM's further expertise and best practices on top of that. We baselined that to build the IDEs of various other IBM products, like Rational Application Developer, Rational Software Architect, and close to 100 different product studios are based on the Eclipse framework. So we help the open source projects. We first let the standards to be established for better interoperability and better choice for the customer. And then we leverage on those open standards and realign the existing IBM products to adopt to them. The same thing we are doing with the Cloud Foundry and the IBM's open cloud architecture and our cloud offerings. So in this journey from transforming organizations' IT from a very rigid system of records into a cloud journey or a mixed journey of cloud and on-premise offerings, which is the backbone for creating the API economy and composable businesses, we see developer as the key element of change, because a lot of decisions will be taken by the developer. Not every decision is driven by the client in terms of the requirements. We take a lot of decisions in terms of how the technology should fit to them. So we see this open cloud architecture is a very good thing for developers to check and study these flexibility models that I'm talking about, and then become the element of change for clients' journey into the cloud way of doing things. IBM's offering for the API economy is called IBM Marketplace. This is still in the early stages, so it's not something we sell from IBM. It's like a community place where all the services which can be leveraged for the development will be put together in one place like a catalog. In one way, you can compare this to the mobile catalogs that we have, the application catalogs for searching and taking the mobile apps that we want. The key difference is this will be the catalog for the developers to build applications on top of that. So the entries that you see in this catalog will be APIs. All APIs which represent a specific service that can benefit a composable business. So if an organization wants to, say, quickly verify the loan applications, then it may find a lot of services here to verify the trustworthiness of a customer, to verify the contact records of a customer, and little bits of logic functionality on rating and sorting the customers. They can all be services. So whenever there is a new customer requirement, this becomes the first place to check what are all the existing pieces of this functionality that I need to build in this large customer ask, and you leverage the things which are already there, and you divert your developer productivity or the energies of the team into the portion which you specifically need to write, rather than reinventing the wheel every time. This offering from IBM, built on the Cloud Foundry, is called BlueMix. This leverages the Cloud Foundry as a framework, but this is an IBM's implementation on IBM site. So this allows you to search for the existing services, allows you to browse and find the details of all the available services so that you can select some of them when you build new applications. And it allows you to see the complete API details so that you can consume them in any programming language that you are going to use. And it allows you to put these things together so that you link your work and then compile and put it into production. So there are two legs to this. One is to see the existing services and then helping you to build the new application in the developmental stage, and then also to run it in the production. It is an open standards-based framework, as it is built on the Cloud Foundry, which anybody can extend, and you can even bring new programming languages or new runtimes that are not already part of the IBM BlueMix. So the beauty of this model is, even though it's an IBM's offering or an IBM's platform, you are not limited by the choices. You're not limited by what IBM has to offer in this. You are free to extend that because it's a Cloud Foundry based offering. There is immense value for developers in this platform offering. First of all, this is a platform as a service offering, which means you don't need to have the physical systems in your possession. It all happens in the cloud. When you compare that to the traditional way of setting up something, then you will really understand the value that developers would get. Suppose if you need to show a quick proof of concept to a customer, you first need to identify the physical hardware for that, and you need to get hold of the software that you need to install, like a database or an application server. These two itself may go through a very long cycles in many organizations. There will be a request for quotation that purchasing department need to send for any new hardware to be procured. They will contact multiple vendors, and then they take the quotes, and they may go for lowest one, or a lot of other workflow steps might be there. And once the system is given to you, then you need to install the software on top of that manually yourself. If it is a commercial software, again, you may need to go through this same long cycle again to procure the software. Or assuming it's an open source and you have that, the developer needs to manually install the software. The software won't run when you switch on the machine. So a lot of developer time, which is supposed to go into building the app, actually goes into non-developmental activities, as we call, into these environment preparation, logistical or administrative things. and a lot of error handling at times. Suppose if the version or the edition of the software that you got is not exactly compatible to the hardware that you are running, then you are into a problem. You again need to call for changing the media into something more suitable, or you may need to apply certain fix packs or do changes in the operating system or change the settings before your environment is a certified configuration. Once you install the prerequisite software like a database or an app server, you again need to do configuration to make them work together, because they are two independent silos which are installed. You still need to go into the app server admin consoles and then point that to a database. You need to configure database security and then provide that detail in app server, or you may need to set the services to start or establish the handshake and maybe further details. Again, you cannot write your application. You again need to have a lot of things configured around the other associated components, maybe something for messaging or something for web services or maybe for integration. For every piece, you would need to go through these same processes. And all of this will happen before you even write your first line of code. And then you will write the code and then you will test it. So when you take the typical proof of concepts or typical projects that we deal in the developer day of life across a long period of time, a vast majority of that, like something like around 30% sometimes, goes into these non-developmental aspects which developers would not want to do if given a choice. But they were into that, into all these, because they didn't even know there is a choice. If you need to do show a proof of concept to a client and the client says, show me that in 3 months, the project manager will put that activity on the head of the developer and he just need to deliver that. He becomes the owner of that, and then he becomes the point to resolve all the issues that come in the way. That perspective is what we want to break, and we want the developers to clearly see what is the development activity and what is an administrative activity there. So BlueMix will be an eye-opener for developers if they check out. They can start writing the code on the moment they are onto BlueMix. On day one, right on that minute, they create an account. And all the infrastructure will be made available to them again within minutes, with no delays. So this will clear a lot of clutter in the developers' time and the productivity of the team per se. So you will get more time to do client development, coding, testing, the project development activities. And you will focus more on your application logic than focusing on the underlying unnecessary issues like configuration issues, incompatibility issues, or issues in the operating system or hardware or various other things that we don't want to get into. This is the #1 gain from the BlueMix as a platform. And because of this nature, this gives the benefits of increased time. You can deliver productive applications much more faster because you are saving time. And overall, you can develop in lesser cost, and you can hit less number of issues. So you will both increase the client satisfaction and the morale of the developers both. So there are many dimensions in which you will gain, but the key underlying thing which gives this benefit is cutting the unnecessary activities from the head of the developer. That is the key message that I want you to carry when you check out BlueMix. So again, rephrasing that, because that value proposition is something we need to understand. It's a new paradigm for us, which we didn't even think is possible. So I will rephrase that again. The BlueMix environment gives the time to value. If a client wants you to do a POC in 3 weeks, and if you will spend 1 week time in environment setup and 2 more weeks to do the POC, you can now tell them I will deliver in 2 weeks, and the client will be delighted, because most of the time client wants to do these quick pilots is to check how effectively they can do some new initiatives which take on the competition. So the faster you deliver these, the faster will be the client benefit. Many times when you want a client, when do you want certain thing, they will say I want it yesterday. Obviously no one can deliver yesterday, so we buy some time and then we try to deliver. The maximum that you can free up from the unwanted activities in that will be the benefit for everybody. So that's what BlueMix delivers to you. And of course it delivers agility to you because it is one environment where you can also develop and deploy into production. So you will again save time on moving the code from one environment to another, doing these retesting like development to UAT to pre-production to production. Then we will save time in those propagation, and we will also save time and cost both, because we hit less number of errors. We face reduced risk. When you buy some hardware, software, and start the initiative after 2-3 weeks, when it arrives and you realize that they are not compatible, that calls for sunk cost. So using a platform like BlueMix, you will basically virtually avoid all these sunk costs, which are because of the configuration incompatibilities, errors, or the things unwanted for development. It's the right environment for building the cloud applications. You can use that to build the cloud applications. You can as well continue to run the cloud applications on that. So in that sense, it's a DevOps platform. Again, this buzzword is getting very popularly referred. So I'll spend a minute on what is DevOps. DevOps means a tight integration between the development and the operations and the business, so that no surprises will come when you propagate the developmental artifacts into the production. Suppose if we do a long development of 6 months and then we send something to be deployed onto production, and if we find some challenge in deploying that to production because of various reasons of incompatibility, that will be sent back to the development team to change according to what is required in the production, and that will call for rework. So all these reworks basically arise because of the lack of understanding of what exactly is the requirement in the production deployment and in the client business situations. And the development team will not be aware of the picture in the same sense when they start the development. DevOps solves that basic problem. So it's an issue of understanding, it's an issue of communication, or it's a gap. So DevOps basically fixes that gap and brings forth the developers and the operations team and the client users onto the same platform much early in the cycle of the development itself, so that they are all on the same page. And BlueMix is the right platform for that DevOps, especially for cloud-based applications on DevOps mechanism. It helps you to build APIs. It helps you to build services and expose them as APIs. And inherently, because everything is exposed as a service, whether it is running in BlueMix or whether you can access services elsewhere, it's ready for integration, ready for cloud integration, both for the services running in BlueMix or for services running elsewhere. And it is also a SaaS. It's also a placeholder where you bring your SaaS offerings. So every service that you build on BlueMix can be a SaaS offering. It's a software as a service which is open for others to be consumed. Another interesting dimension of this BlueMix is, because of that DevOps nature, it's not just about searching through the catalog of services and then linking them together. You can actually link to the projects which are designed on the cloud, ground up. So the services which are born in cloud and run in cloud, they become a very good companion for the services which are running in the BlueMix. The way we achieve that is by leveraging the Jazz Hub technology. Again, I will take 1 more minute to explain that in detail so that we appreciate this whole thing working together. Many years ago, we used to have a set of relational tools which work together, like one tool for requirements collection, one tool for the development, testing, designing, architecting, one for team communication, project management, and one tool for defect tracking and tracking what requirements actually failed. But these were all on IBM proprietary integration points because there was no standard in that time. And there are many competitive offerings which offer a developmental suite like this for managing the requirements, development, testing by many of our competitors like the Mercury tools, HP tools, and a lot of other tools. No set of tools is compatible with others. So for example, you cannot IBM's developmental tool and then ask other vendors defect tracking tool to notify failed requirements into another tool. So they were all using their own proprietary mechanisms. So IBM, again, like the Eclipse project and the Cloud Foundry, brought forward one initiative to bring the standards into this space in the world, and that is the Jazz initiative. The Jazz initiative studies the project developmental lifecycle very closely, identifies what tools people use, what roles use what tools, and the handshake which is required from one tool to another, and then we established some standards for that. This is again by IBM, and we leveraged the other players in the space. So together we came up with this Jazz framework where all the tools fit in on pre-agreed contracts. So you can use, for example, the Requisite Pro from IBM to capture the requirements, and you may use another development tool to write the code and compile it, and you may again use IBM rational testing suite of products, say performance tester, manual tester, to test the tools, and then use another defect tracking tool to take the results from the rational tools and then send notifications to the persons who need to rework. So any tool is interoperable there in that platform. It's not just IBM products, and there are a lot of products which are now compatible in the Jazz framework. As an extension to that, we have put the Jazz framework on cloud, on an IBM's public cloud. So we offered the tooling and the framework of the Jazz to be accessed on a public cloud so that people can do a distributed development across geographies right in the cloud by using the tools that work in the Jazz framework. So that initiative is called Jazz Hub. And the Jazz Hub is closely linked to the BlueMix environment. So when you need to write code linking to the existing services or build new services in whatever language you want, you can very well leverage the Jazz Hub to write them right in the cloud and then propagate that onto your cloud catalog, which is the IBM Cloud Marketplace, and then run it right in the IBM BlueMix environment in the production. Okay, now I'll take you into a little bit of technical details. There are organizations which can be, say, your firm, and many people will be part of that. And there will be users, which will be individual users like you, me, or whatever developers or testers. There will be domains, which can be your company's registered domain, like say techgig.com or subdomains. So when you work with BlueMix, you will work under an organization. You will work as a specific individual, which is yourself, and you may pair up with other users as part of that organization, and you will deploy the artifacts into a specific domain which is under the organization. There may be multiple domains as well. Overall, for every organization, there will be a quota attached. When you sign up as an individual, you are going to get 8 GB of space and 20 services that you can run. But when an organization signs up, they can talk to IBM on whatever quota they want. So all users will work within that. Spaces is an interesting thing. So a space represents an environment that we call in the deployment space. It can refer to a development setup, a testing setup, a pre-production setup, a UAT setup, or a production setup. So you can write any service or you can build an application and then map that to any space. So initially when you build the application, you will design the application and map that to dev space, and then you will test it on the public internet. Once it is working, you can map that to your prod space, and here it goes into production with one click. You don't need to do any further activities for that. You can run applications of any language in BlueMix. It's not just the set of languages that you will see on the BlueMix homepage. You can actually build your own language as part of a build pack. So a build pack defines both the runtime and the language together. So if you are using, say, Java, and there is a IBM compiler for Java already, and an IBM JRE, which you can just choose in the built-in runtimes in BlueMix. Or if you want to use your own, then you can very well specify that by giving some options in the command line tooling that we used to manage these applications. The command line tool we use here is CF, which is a part of the Cloud Foundry. But again, this is not the only tool that you need to use, because this tool internally uses the APIs to connect to the underlying Cloud Foundry instance or the BlueMix environment. So it is virtually possible to build any type of tooling that you want, be it command line tools or graphical tools or a web-based interface, which again use those same APIs for the management. So it's all extensible, configurable, and open platform architecture. Nothing is bound and limiting here. IBM also extended the Cloud Foundry and added few things called boilerplates, which is a bundling of the application, the runtime, which is the build pack, and also the associated services that you need to use as part of that. So this is a quite convenient bundling that you can very readily use to start building any application. One example is there is a Java web starter, which includes the Java runtime, a web server, and the associated pre-configuration. So the moment you launch it, you are ready with a web container to put your code and then see it in production. Similarly, if you choose Java plus database web starter, you will have the web server, the app server, and the database configured, a 3-tier architecture configured within minutes for you, with full working connections between the database app server. And you just need to write your code into that. Similarly, there are boilerplates available for Node.js or other languages as well. And there are value-added services. For example, you can leverage big data analytics to be leveraged as a service, or mobile development to be available as a service to you. So IBM has a lot of services built into this BlueMix, that service catalog. Like one service could be push notifications to your mobile. And if you load that into your application, you don't need to write any code for handling mobile notifications to various types of devices and operating system versions. You just need to invoke that API and pass data. And when that application runs, for whatever client the application is delivered, that service takes care of pushing the notifications. Similarly, there are dozens of services available. So now I will show you a quick demo so that you will understand this what we are talking about. This is BlueMix.net. This is the place where you need to go and you need to click here and then sign up for that. The registration is very simple formality, like signing up for any application. It just asks for your basic details and email address, and then it will send a confirmation email to you. Once you confirm, then you are good to go on using the service. So I will just log in with a registration that I already made. If you are connected to internet, you may as well try your registrations right now as well. So I logged into my login that I created here, and this is the dashboard that I see on the launch screen. I will see how much memory is attached to me, 8 GB, and I'm not using anything as of now. There are no applications running, 0 applications, and it shows the service status and other details. On the left-hand side, you will see this menu which shows the spaces. And I have 3 spaces created, a dev, prod, and QA space. I have 0 applications and 0 services. So let me create a sample application and see how it goes. So I can choose what programming languages, which is part of the runtimes. It's also called the build pack. So I will choose Liberty for Java, which is a Java runtime, and I'll say create app. I need to deploy everything onto a particular environment or a space. So I'll leave the default dev app there, dev space there, and I'm just giving a name called TechGig app 1. And notice below it automatically creates a host name by creating a subdomain for this under ng.bluemix.net. And I'm creating this app. When I click create, when it is loading, I'll explain what things are being done. It first goes to the public cloud infrastructure behind this BlueMix, and it identifies certain physical hardware and nodes where my application can be created. It creates blank virtual image container for app server and the services that I want to consume. And then it will load the OS into them, standard OS, whatever is configured as part of the service definition there. And then it will install the app server instance into that. Then it will configure the app server with further post-installation scripts. And once the app server is installed, then it will start that app server. And then it will take any other configuration or applications as part of this runtime. So there is one sample application just to test whether the environment is running good or not, and that is also now deployed on top of the application server which is installed, and now it is giving me a confirmation that your app is looking great and running. This took me about 60 seconds, as you can see. Now compare this to what you need to do to give me a working WebSphere application server instance right from ground up, not just leveraging anything which is already created. Now you need to go and create an instance. Just check how much time it is going to take for these administrative, logistical, non-technical activities. Now I see a URL which is given to me to test this app. Now while I test, you can very well go click or type this URL on your browsers there, and you can check. This is a public app which is now running. So the test app will just show the environment details of the WAS, the WebSphere Liberty profile, and so I see my application is running. It uses standard configuration, so it uses port 61769 or whatever. These things are configured as part of the standard configuration in the runtime, but these things are very well changeable. Both you can change them post creation by like how you manage any app server instance, or you may as well modify the runtime for that and give that -b option when you manage through that command line tooling, and then push your own customized runtime, and that runtime will be used to create the instance. The way it deploys will be the same, so it will take the same amount of time, and it is going to do all these activities like VM instance creation and then putting app server into that and putting app into that. All these activities will be done, but it is extensible. So just to demonstrate this, I will again show another application to you, which includes a boilerplate by leveraging a little bit more services. So I'll take Java plus database web starter, which now includes the Liberty profile that we used, plus it also uses an SQL DB, the DB2 as a service running in the cloud. Again, imagine how much time it will take to install the DB2 database, install WAS, and then link them together. Okay, again note that URL. Once that app is running, all of you attending the session now will be able to go to that URL in live right now. So I say create. Now it needs to create multiple instances for this. It needs to create a container for running the WebSphere Liberty profile, put the app server in that, put whatever sample apps that are configured as part of that, and then create one more instance for database, install DB2 as a service, and then take the DB2 configuration details, whatever port numbers, exact location details that it is running, and then configure web server to talk to the DB2 database. So it needs to go into the WebSphere administration, the running instance administration, and then establish a link between them. Then we are deploying a sample app, which goes as a ER file deployment into WAS, plus its associated data placeholder like the data store, tables will be created in database. All this, again, within 2 minutes. Now you see it created the instances. It is now going to start that. It says your instance is not running, so it is still taking a little bit time to boot those instances which is created. And by instances, we mean live systems, the systems which are created in IBM Cloud for you right now when you sign up for the trial and leverage this service. So to understand the value of this, you should compare that to the brick and mortar way of doing these things. If a client asks you to do a POC on a 3-tier architecture and say WAS and DB2, and he asks you to show a demo of the functionality he asks in 1 minute, one week. Okay, how long of that 1 week would you waste on the environment creation, and how long of that would you spend on productive code writing? Now I am done with this. The second app is also ready, which created a Liberty Java instance and a database which is created. So I'll again click on this. You can even type this in your browsers to co-test this with me in live on the public cloud, TechGig app2.ng.bluemix.net. This is again a test app where some entries are in the database, and I can click on this and say and I make that entry. Now that entry live went straight into the database. It's not just coming on the web page, because when I enter this, it goes into the database, and when you access from your side, you will be able to see this. Or when we delete something, say when I delete this, again this is going straight into the database. When I close this and when I try to open this from wherever, again it picks up from the state. So all things are stored in this database directly. The one way to demonstrate that to you is I stop this app. Okay, so it's not just in the session, it's not just in the cache. The application is now shut down. And now I click on that and say start app again. The application is now starting. The instances are booting up again. Okay, now the app is again running. And here you go. All the information that you even persisted was right there in the database. So I will leave this app here. So if one of you wants to play around, you can even do that. And I will continue with my session here. So
Subramaniam, I'm
we
really
have lot
sorry
of
to
services
interrupt.
already available as you. Okay.
Yes, so it's already 6 o'clock. If you can wind up the session a little earlier, it would be great. We are already running late.
Okay, sure. So I see no questions posted to me. If you want to have any more clarity, you may ask questions now, and we can take 1-2 questions.
Yes, the questions are pouring in, so I will quickly assign 1 or 2 questions which you can take, and rest of the questions I will provide you through email, so you can respond to them as per your feasibility.
Sure thing. So the question I got is, I would like to know how is IBM BlueMix different from the Azure platform or any other cloud platform. The key difference is this is an open platform. In this platform, we don't force you to use a particular programming language. You are free to use Java or .NET or maybe anything. So Azure allows you to use only Microsoft programming languages. I cannot use all other programming languages that I want. I cannot use, for example, say Ruby or maybe Go language or any other language that you can imagine. Whereas IBM's BlueMix Paas platform is an open platform where you have the freedom to choose whatever language you want and the runtime environment for that. Again, in Java, you may have WebSphere app servers or maybe Oracle WebLogic servers or Tomcat or JBoss or whatever. So it gives you the flexibility to do the things that you are comfortable doing right now, but only in the public cloud. And there is no other environment in the world which gives you that level of flexibility. No other known platform. The second question is, what are the compliance and risk areas that IBM will address? IBM BlueMix is a highly secure environment. So I had some slides in the backup one I didn't intend to show, but I'll just quickly show a couple of them. So IBM BlueMix environment is certified for industry and regulatory compliance by multiple authorities, all the top players in that compliance space, like AICPA or payment card industry data standards or Federal Information Security Management standards, compliant with multiple standards. And if you see how we run the data centers, we are a Tier 3 data center, which is just one step lesser than you running your own data center within your premise, which is the traditional bricks and mortar way. So if you need to get out of the own data center and run it elsewhere, the safest place to run is on the IBM SoftLayer public cloud. And the BlueMix Paas platform runs right in that SoftLayer. It leverages all the security measures of SoftLayer. So it is the highest level of public cloud environment. And other dimension of answering this is, you don't actually need to run all these services in the public cloud, even though I told you that is the easiest way to do. You may even run BlueMix services in your own enterprise and expose them into the BlueMix catalog. So the service can very well run within your own enterprise, but it is visible for further linkage in the composable business paradigm. So this makes sure that there is no risk of security at all. Okay, I think we are done. You can send me the remaining questions post the session. Thank you for attending this session. Please do go to bluemix.net to take a trial. And there are a lot of BlueMix events happening around India. Try to join some of them. This is a schedule. you can send SMS to 57333 and you will get the details of the events happening across Hyderabad, Chennai, Cochin, Coimbatore, Delhi, Mysore, Pune, and you can attend a full-day event where you can do hands-on for that. I really appreciate being part of this webinar. I thank all the participants.
And I'm really thankful to our guest speaker today for conducting this wonderful, informative webinar. It was indeed a great session. I would also like to thank all our participants for their support in making this webinar a success. The recording of the webinar will be available on techgig.com by tomorrow. Thank you all for joining us today. Thank you, Subramaniam, for taking the time out and having us. Have a great evening ahead.
Thank you. Bye.